Hi, my name is Tim Wilson, and today I'm going to be showing you some of the tools and tricks that I've learned and implemented for Bad Brad's Barbecue, my current project. Here, it's a chain of barbecue restaurants here in the northern suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. As you can see here, this is my development folder. It's got copies of pretty much all of the tools that I've built for Bad Brad's Barbecue, including here Commissary Master. That's their centralized production facility where they make and distribute all of the orders. Here's an order guide that all of the restaurants use to analyze their counts and use that to create an order. This is what a mobile count that they use to actually do the counts. This is a little trick I implemented where it's a user form that sizes itself to whatever screen it's on to make it feel like a mobile app, but really it's just a Windows tablet running full Windows, running full Excel, and just using user forms and macros. We've also got a back of house file and a front of house file, HR, catering, and this one right here is the store master, which is what we're looking at here in the background. So the Store Master, the first thing I want to show you is more of just a trick. This is something that I've put in all of my workbooks for Bad Brad's and something I plan on using in the future. As you can see here, there are a ton of user forms. This is just the list of user forms in the Store Master, as well as you can see the list of worksheets. There's a ton of worksheets and user forms. Hard to navigate. So I've got a sheet here at the very end called the Nav Guide. Very simple. 5 columns you have to fill out. What is the name of the user form or sheet? What do you want it to display? Is it a user form, sheet, or process? How do you want to group it here? And then also a description that you'll see where the description pops up when you hit Control G. Control G launches this user form and it creates its own buttons. These are custom classes of buttons. One of the classes is a group button where when you click it, it expands down into show you all of these navigation buttons. And when I click on one of these navigation buttons, it actually takes me to a sheet. If I were to click on something that was a user form like this, it would actually launch a user form. So it makes it really easy to get around because some of these workbooks have quite a few sheets as well as user forms. So, all right, well, the first user process I want to show you is the apparel store. This would be where you would come to order a new shirt if your shirt wears out or you're a new employee and you need a Bad Brad shirt. And this is very simple. Let's say I work at Orion in the front of house. Orion is the name of the township, the city around here. Let's say my name is Brittany. I look like a Brittany. That's fine. And my manager is Tony. And it's not from emergency stock. And let's say I want to order a long sleeve medium shirt. I just double click it, it's added to my cart. If I will also want a bandana, I double click it, add it to my cart. And if I don't want something, I can delete the quantity here and it disappears from my cart. Very simple, and it is completely worksheet. It is an entirely worksheet contained user experience. A lot of my user experiences are user form heavy, some of them are worksheet heavy, and some of them are a hybrid of the two. This one's very worksheet intensive. I'm ready to submit that. I click submit, and the order is submitted. And when, if I'm at the production facility, which is where they fulfill these orders, I have a copy of it here. You can see, Brittany, I just ordered a orange long sleeve shirt and a gray polo shirt. And as soon as they are ready to actually ship that, they click ship, mark it shipped, they confirm, and I should be getting a text message. I just received a text message that says, hey, your order is being shipped today. So, the text messages are sent through a web service called Twilio. You send a post request with a phone number in the body of a text you want, and for 3/4 of a penny, it'll send a text message for you. So, few APIs that I've connected to, Weather APIs, MapQuest API, Twilio API, something that is in my toolkit. All right, something else I want to show you is the manager log. The manager log was a concept I came up with, which is basically a multi-topic chat room. So here we can see conversations from days past and topics. Also AM and PM, so the AM crew and the PM crew can all have separate conversations. Some of the questions are relevant for both AM and PM, and some of them are just AM or just PM. So if I want to participate in the conversation, and let's say my name is Tim, I want to say, today was Great. As soon as I hit enter, it gets sent to the database. This whole sheet regenerates itself and posts my in here. It's blue because the name up top is blue. But let's say somebody else is in here and wants to respond to me and says, "That's great." Tim would be red because my name is not Tim. My name now is Brandon. So you can see you can go back and forth. So to manage all of these topics, we've got this manage button up here. This is the store master. It's the upper management tool, so they can manage what topics show up at what stores, front of house as well as back of house. As you can see here, right now I'm looking at the back of house chat log. This is also a front of house chat log. And because this is the upper management tool, I can see whatever store I want, all the conversations that they've been having. And as upper management, I can participate in these conversations just by selecting which store, which house. Front of house, back of house, which house. So here's how I actually manage the topics that show up for each store. What should they be talking about? You click on, this is a list box, you click on one of these topics. You can edit the description of the topic. You can also change the order by clicking the up and down buttons, right? You can delete it. You can also, so this right now is both an AM and a PM. If I were to change this from both to PM, it automatically moves it over to this and it's gone from the both. And you can edit which stores it shows up at for each of those topics. So this is a kind of a user forum. Behind the scenes, upper management is controlling what each store, which conversations each store. No, I don't want to save. But if I did want to save, this is how it would go about saving. So this is a code snippet. As soon as you, because I know you wanted a code review, this is an example of the VBA side. I have two different XML strings that I'm putting together. I'm doing a triple for loop to go through. Manlog is a dictionary that I load up all of the information about. All the information about what store, what timing, which house, all that kind of stuff, and the descriptions. Package them all up into XML strings and send those strings, the data, to the backend. So with that being said, let's check out the backend. Update manager log. Update manager log. So on the back end, I'm receiving those XML documents. I've got a few temp tables here. I fill those temp tables using the data that I passed from VBA. And then I do two merge statements, merge into the manager log, as well as tracking log store that tells me which stores have which topics. So that's a little bit of a, hey, look at that segue. This is a picture, a database diagram. This is kind of to show you the complexity of the size of database that I am comfortable handling and have developed this myself from scratch. Learned all of this stuff, SQL Server, all this stuff on my own. So I don't actually have any formal training on this. I just really enjoy kind of piecing this stuff together. It's a lot of fun. And then here I have an example of another stored procedure that I've written that is a little bit more involved. So this is just loading up a report. But this is an example of how I can use temp tables as opposed to variable tables, which is what I was showing you before. I hope I called it variable table before, but anyway, a temp table, as well as I had to, this was taking like 30 seconds to run at one point, and I had to figure out why is this taking so long. So like I said, I learned all this stuff on my own, figured out how to put indexes on variable tables, and this sped up, tenfold at least. So yeah, I'll just kind of go a little slowly page down so you can kind of take a look at some of my code. Just for your reference, because I know you wanted some code. Here we've got, an example of joining a variable table right here, as opposed to select it directly from a variable table, using some cases, the IIF if. Yeah, so there you go. It's an example of some of the SQL Server code that I have written and can write. All right, so another process that I'd like to show you is in a different file. We are going to do the front of house manager, and I'm going to pretend like I am a server and I need to be counted out. My shift is over, I've got cash that I either need to give, or I've gotten a lot of credit card tips and I need to collect cash from the petty. So here we've got the cash count user form, and as soon as I'm ready, let's say I'm Alexander now. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Denitra Alexander. I would right click on Denitra. She's actually a manager too, so she's there. So let's say Brittany is counting me out, and I would have to fill out various fields. What are the tips I got? Did I get gift cards? Let's just, how much cash is due? Let's say $50 is due. And let's say I'm actually counting out a drawer as well. So let's say I'm from the bar, carry out or something like that. Let's say I'm counting out carry out, and I've got one of each. Cool. So that's my total. I have to verify that I've checked these things, verify that all my tabs are closed. I could also enter some online order information here, credit card tip splits. If I was on the carryout with somebody else, I could say, hey, part of this money should go to this other employee as well. Too much detail. So let's just go ahead and save that count. Count saved. And as you see, Denitra showed up here at the end. A little note that she was counting out the carryout drawer. And this gives me the total of everybody that's been counted out. So you can verify when you do your bank deposit, that's the number that should be there. One other thing I like about this user form, it has a event listener for when you click on one of these sections, petty, bar, carryout. As soon as I click on it, it expands. It's just it listens for when you click on one of these headers, it says, okay, that's my active header. Go ahead and reproduce this whole thing, but based on what you just clicked on, if you come across that one, expand it down so I can see the full count out. I just counted this. It was a bunch of ones, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and it shows up there. Hope that made a little bit of sense, but this was, I thought, a good example of using user forms as well as kind of interactivity, kind of faux drop-down sections using a worksheet. So one other thing I want to show you is a fun one I did for catering. So this one in catering I wanted to show you is involving a calculator. They wanted a big user form where if somebody calls in and says, hey, I want a quote on how much would it cost me for this big catering event, you could come in here and start filling out all the information and not have to officially create an event to give somebody a price quote. So let's say I have 100 people who want pulled pork and chicken, Cobb salad, cornbread, and house salad. It gives you a little running total of what this is over here, as well as your build down here. The BYO is this concept he has of I have 100 people and I want these things, and it charges you per head, as well as potentially some upcharges if you wanted some of the more expensive meat. All right, let's say a la carte. I also want, I don't know, some of this stuff. Great, it keeps adding on to my order summary. Got to make sure you get some sauces and some dressing in there. Drinks. Oh, and it's got recommended, so let's go ahead and apply the recommendations. Supplies, it's got recommendations. Let's just go ahead and apply the recommendations. Extras, I think I'm good on that. And service, if you had a address city and you wanted this delivered, you can click that lookup button. It actually reaches out to MapQuest to determine how far away you are, and based on how far away you are and how big your order is, it'll calculate the service fee for you right here. That's another example of connecting to an API, a web API. So I could go ahead and create this if I filled out names. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's say this is on 3/30. I need to put in a year and 555, 555, 5555. Go ahead and activate it, create. Event name Tim on 3/30. All right, event's been activated. Here I am, right here in the background. And if I wanted to edit this, I can double click on a section, edit some of this information. If I wanted to, let's say down here, if I wanted to edit the dressing, I wanted buttermilk, I want to switch that, I can double click on buttermilk. It'll launch the sauces and dressings right away. And that is an example of a big user form I've created. This is, again, it's just a multi-page, but because there were so many tabs on that multi-page, I decided to create buttons down the left side to activate the various pages and use a slide effect, which I thought was pretty cool. And I think that concludes this portion of the demonstration. I look forward to showing you more because, as you can tell, there's a whole lot more. We've covered maybe 5% of 2% of all of the things that I've done for Bad Brads, and I hope to have an opportunity to show you some more. Thanks for watching.